Hi, I'm Mark Scarbrough, and this is a recipe in the Deep Dig series Bruce and I are doing on our YouTube channel, and it's Coca-Cola cake. So, without any waiting, let's just get to it. Okay, the first part of making Coca-Cola cake, or I should say, the way I said it as a kid, Coca-Cola cake. The first part of making Coca-Cola cake is we gotta make the cake. This is a very simple cake recipe, and I'm going to tell you more about my family history with this recipe, but I want to tell you also how I've changed it. This is a Coca-Cola cake, and Coca-Cola is sweet. It's going to be made with Coca-Cola. So one of the things it has with this cake is it's so unbelievably sweet that I have tried to shift the recipe slightly so it's not quite so sweet. So I'm going to explain that as I go forward. This is 2 cups of all-purpose or plain flour. That's 340 grams of all-purpose or plain flour. That's going to be the start, and I'm going to add to this 1.25 cups of sugar. That's 275 grams of granulated white sugar. Just really honestly all the dry ingredients right together. This is 1.5 teaspoons, here it is, of baking soda. Why not powder? I'll explain that in a minute. That's about 8 grams of baking soda. And then, I don't know, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, something like that. Whoop, there it came out. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 2-3 grams of salt, something like that. And just get the dry ingredients whisked together. You don't have to go crazy here, as you'll see, because this is a super simple batter. I mean, really, honestly, as simple as it gets. Okay, that's done. Second thing, turn your oven on. I guess I should have said that first, but turn your oven on to 350 or 175 Celsius or gas mark 4. Get it heated up. Don't use a fan. No fan. No fan, no convection. Do it straight, 350, 175 degrees Celsius, gas mark 4. Get that going. Then do your dry ingredients. A little out of order. A little bit out of order. And then after that, what you want to do is you want to melt 2 sticks or 230 grams of butter. Melt it on the stove. Get it nice and done. And then set it aside for about 5 minutes. Here's the thing. There are so many recipes for Coca-Cola cake in the United States. It's ubiquitous. I think they make a version at Cracker Barrel now, and I think they're Cracker Barrel copycat recipes. And here's the thing. They melt the butter, and they melt it with the cola, which makes the cola bizarrely flat, and it gives it a slightly bitter edge. And for some reason, they melt the hot butter and the cola until it's boiling, and then pour it into these ingredients, these dry ingredients. All that's going to do is kill the leavening. It's going to absolutely kill it right from the get-go, and it's going to turn it into a kind of weird, flat, hard, dense cake. So this is how I've changed it up, and believe me, over the past couple of weeks, I have done enough Coca-Cola cake testing to be able to tell you that it deserves a change for a better cake. So I've melted my 2 sticks or my 230 grams of butter. I've cooled it a bit, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to whisk into it, picking up my whisk out of my dry ingredients. I'm going to whisk into it 6 tablespoons or about 35 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. You can use Dutch or natural, just don't use cocoa mix, sweetened cocoa mix. I'm actually getting cocoa powder, and 2 teaspoons or about 10 milliliters of vanilla. And so whisk this together until it becomes kind of bit of a paste. That's not right. It just gets thicker because the cocoa powder dissolves in there. Yeah, see, it's not a paste. That's the wrong word to use. It's just a bit thickened up to create this chocolate mixture. Good to go. Now I'm going to do my liquid ingredients. This is what's going to go in this bowl over here. This is a Coca-Cola cake. I'm transferring my whisk. It really did. You know what? It all goes to the same place. I'm going to do my liquid ingredients, and it's a Coca-Cola cake. So we're going to start with 1 cup or 240 milliliters of Coke. Can you use Diet Coke? No. Can you use Coke Zero? No. Can you use a knockoff Coke? Sure. You can use a knockoff brand of Coke or Cola. Can you use Dr. Pepper? Why? Can you use Pepsi? Why? This is a Coca-Cola cake. Use Coca-Cola. So buy those little 6-ounce bottles that the old ladies buy, and then you won't have so many of them lying around the house. Okay, and to that, I'm also going to add 1/2 cup of buttermilk, 120 milliliters, and I want to speak about this buttermilk for 1 second. This is uncultured buttermilk. If you don't know, there are two kinds of buttermilk sold in the United States. There is cultured and uncultured. Cultured buttermilk is essentially like kefir, or like, is it kefir? Kefir? It's essentially like kefir or kefir, and it's, or like yogurt. It's been cultured like yogurt, and it's thinner than yogurt, but it's still thick and gloppy. Uncultured buttermilk is thin. It's like the runoff from making butter, which is what it's supposed to be. And you want uncultured buttermilk for a recipe like this. So I got my Coke, I got my buttermilk, and now 2 large eggs. And I want to whisk this up. Okay, this is really the hard part. Whisk it up. You don't have to go crazy here. Just whisk away. Oh, well, you can spill it all over yourself if you'd like. Please don't pull out a mixer. Please do not pull out a mixer. Please let this be what it is. Get your cocoa mixture and butter in here. Same thing, whisk it. Whisk, 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 whisk. And then add the dry ingredients. And I just want to show you this. I'm going to move everything aside so I can show you exactly what happens here, because this is important, and this is why you're not using a mixer. So add your dry ingredients all at once. Get them in there. And then whisk this just until combined. Do not over mix this. I have tried far too many Coca-Cola cakes that have become glutinous because they have been beaten with a mixer. Notice that I only want to get this until it is combined without any dry ingredients on the bottom. That's what I'm looking for. Notice too, just wait until I get this in the pan, what it looks like. So I've got a 9 by 13 inch baking pan, your standard baking pan. It has been greased and floured. I will tell you that we used baking spray on this. You can use butter and flour, old school, but baking spray is fine. Now watch what happens when I pour this in here, and this is what's key. Notice how grainy the batter is. This is super important. It means I have not over mixed my flour, and I will get a much more tender cake, tenderer cake. If I do this, if I had used a mixer, this would be smooth. The cake would get super dense. It would get glutinous. Spread this out just a little bit so it's even. About like that. This is dirty every bowl in the kitchen. Get it in here. It's ready to go in the oven. So in that 350 degree or 175 degrees Celsius or gas mark 4 oven, 35 minutes. Honestly, every time I made this, it's exactly 35 minutes. 35 minutes. But start testing at about the 30-minute mark. What you're looking for is a clean toothpick or cake tester. You want it to come out clean. It will rise and mound just a little bit at the center because the buttermilk, and this is why I'm going back to the baking soda, the buttermilk is interacting with the baking soda, and we're getting a different kind of leavening than with baking powder. We're getting a slightly lighter and airier because of the acid in the buttermilk and the baking soda, a lighter, airier leavening, and the cake will puff just slightly in the center, just slightly, but we'll get a better crumb all around. So after this is baked and then cooled, we have to make the icing. All right, why am I doing this? Why am I doing Coca-Cola cake? Here's why. Because when I was a kid, coming up in the South, as we would say, coming up in the South, Coca-Cola cake was a thing. It was a thing that was brought to our family reunions, which were held on the first weekend of August, the hottest frickin' time of the year, at Lake Murray State Park in Oklahoma, under a metal roof on a concrete slab. It's as hot as anyone can imagine. It was my family reunion, so there were fans set up, hooked to car batteries and generators, and my cousin Wilma Faye always brought Coca-Cola cake. You know, now I've written 35 cookbooks with Bruce and thousands, tens of thousands of recipes, and some recipes just connect with you. They're part of who you are. They're part of where you're from. And Coca-Cola cake is where I'm from. It's a recipe from my childhood. As you're hearing, as it's been going on, I've changed this a bit from my cousin Wilma Faye's original recipe, but it's part of who I am. Isn't it amazing? How can a recipe be part of who you are. It's kind of fabulous. All right, once the cake comes out of the oven and it cools to room temperature, that takes about an hour. Now it's time to make the Coca-Cola icing. Crazy. I'm going to tell you how I've adapted this icing. Oh, there's so much about it on the internet, and I'm going to explain about what happened to it and how it got to be what it is now. But maybe I should get going first and then come back to that. Maybe that's a better thing. Okay, so I have 4 tablespoons, half a stick, or 58 grams of butter that I am melting in a saucepan. And to this, I'm going to add 2 ounces or 55 grams of unsweetened chocolate. 55 grams, 2 ounces of unsweetened chocolate. We're going to melt that together along with a 1/4 cup or 60 milliliters of cola. Notice it's fizzy even. It's still cola. I'm telling you, this is a Coca-Cola cake. Or store knockoff cola cake. I got a teaspoon or 5 milliliters of vanilla extract. Please use real vanilla. Believe me, you want it. And we're going to melt this with, and here it comes. Get ready. Brace yourself. Oh my God. We're going to melt this with a cup or 55 grams of mini marshmallows. This all goes in this saucepan and gets mixed together. See, I told you wanted to use unsweetened chocolate. As this melts, you have to stir it constantly. First of all, you have to stir it to make sure that those marshmallows are constantly dissolving. The chocolate can still stick on the bottom of the pan. Don't go over a high heat here. Go over a low heat so that everything absolutely melts well. The marshmallows will start to melt almost instantly, just like in a s'mores or anything like that. They're going to add all of this sweetness. Well, there's sugar coming. All of this sweetness, and they're going to add a ton of texture and body to this. So once this comes to a full melt, oh no, let's even say that's not even true. You take it till it's about, the chocolate's all melted now, and the marshmallows are about 2/3 melted down at this point. At this point, what you want to do is turn off the heat and then continue stirring it. The marshmallows will continue. They will continue to melt in here, and that's what's important. And in fact, more so than this, you want to take it off the heat entirely and just keep stirring. Stir it like this for about 5 minutes. Stir, 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 because what we want this to do is slowly cool and get thicker with all those marshmallows. So stir, 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 about 5 minutes off the heat. Again, take it off when the marshmallows are about 2/3 melted, and then just keep stirring. Don't stop for any reason. This is both cooling it and thickening it. Okay, still stirring. I want to talk a little bit about this icing. There are lots of these recipes out on the internet for Coca-Cola cake, and I think, well, I'm going to use a really fancy cookbook writer term for them. They're lies. Every single one of them. Here's the thing. It's always made Coca-Cola cake with marshmallows. Sometimes the marshmallows are put inside the cake. And in fact, in my cousin Wilma Faye's original recipe, the marshmallows were put in here. And it was baked with those marshmallows in it. You know what? They don't do anything. They just melt into the batter, and there are these little white spots through it. But what does that really do for it? There are other recipes on the internet that claim a lot that you take the cake hot out of the oven, hot, the minute it comes out of the oven, and you dump a 7-ounce jar of marshmallow cream or marshmallow fluff on top, and you spread it out. I can tell you that that is not right for 2 reasons. First of all, the cake is hot, so what's going to happen is that marshmallow fluff or cream is going to instantly melt. It's going to run to the sides of the pan. It's going to burn against the hot sides of the pan. It's going to glue the cake down to the pan itself, and it's just going to be a mess. And as you try to spread it, I don't get it. As you try to spread it, the top of the cake just starts coming up with the marshmallow cream. It doesn't make any sense at all. So what I did is I revamped this slightly, and I made, since marshmallows and pecans are a part of Coca-Cola cake, I basically made a Rocky Road frosting. to go on top of this. Thus, the butter, the chocolate, the cola, the mini marshmallows, and vanilla melted together. And now I'm going to add confectioner sugar, powdered sugar. I'm going to add that to this and mix it in. I'm going to do it a little bit at a time. I've got 2 cups here, or 365 grams of confectioner sugar. I told you it was sweet. And I'm going to put some of it in here. The question is how much? And you're looking for a good icing consistency here. It depends. It depends on the ambient moisture, the humidity of the day itself, how the day is. Is it super humid? Is the confectioner sugar holding humidity in it, which it can? It still looks loose to me, so I'm going to add more. I've never seen it take more than 2 cups or 365 grams of it. Sometimes it takes the full amount, sometimes it doesn't. What I'm looking for is a kind of thick, moundable icing. And don't forget that confectioner sugar has cornstarch in it, so it has a drying property, so it will continue to dry and set up over time. I'm still going to add more. I'm looking for a thick but not pasty texture to pour over my cake, and then it will set over time. Whoa, we're just real close. See how it's kind of pulling back from the pan? It's pulling back inside the pan just slightly from the sides. That's about it. Okay, so what now? The final bit. 55 grams or 1 more cup of mini marshmallows. Told you it was rocky road. And a cup of pecans chopped, or 125 grams of pecans chopped. I wouldn't toast them. Actually, it gets in the way, the toasted pecans. They are more strongly flavored, but I wouldn't toast them. I like them in their natural state. They add nice crunch, a little bit of flavor, and they're not too overpowering. That's it. You fold these in. Wow. I'm telling you, this is a sweet icing on a Coca-Cola cake, and there's not much more to it except just dumping it on. Oh, and spreading it out. Oh my God. As we say in my family, it needs ice cream to cut the sweet. So you spread this out, this rocky road frosting. You want to give it a good coating. You have to go crazy here. Be careful of the cake below it. You don't want to tear the top of the cake, but you want to spread it out till it covers it. Ooh. Get my marshmallows even. Ta-da! It is ready for a family reunion at Lake Murray in Oklahoma in the middle of the summer, in which the cake itself will melt in the unbelievable furnace of heat. Stick around. I'm going to take a bite. Okay, when I was coming up in the South, we called this, I know people call them now sheet cakes, we called it a tray cake. And I don't know why we called it a tray cake, but it was a tray cake, and a tray cake meant you ate it out of the tray. You ate it out of the tray. So I think I'm going to do exactly what we did when I was a kid, which is just dig this thing out of the tray. It will come up in pieces, I promise you. But after all, this is the kind of thing you eat in the middle of the night after questionable activities. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so chocolatey. You can see that the crumb of the cake, whoa, there it goes. The crumb of the cake is super light. It will cut into pieces, I promise you. But the best way to eat this, oh my God. The best way to eat this was with a fork. This is the cure for a divorce. This is the thing you eat if you're lucky enough to live in a state with legal pot. This is, you just eat it out of the tray, or cut into pieces, or get yourself vanilla ice cream to cut the sweet. Subscribe to this cooking channel if you want to know the exact recipe and the ingredients for it. It's right below me. Click down into the more. It's all written out for you. You can subscribe to this channel. You can like it. Please like it. Please like it. And subscribe and come back. Bruce is doing lots of deep digs. I'm doing lots of deep digs. Or check us out on our podcast, Cooking with Bruce and Mark, wherever you get podcasts. We're together, being a little crazy about food. I don't know that we're ever making anything as good as a Coca-Cola cake, but maybe that's because we just don't know what to do. I don't know. But check us out, subscribe, come back.